Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to wait for you guys to tune in. Sorry I'm late today. Good morning. Let me know where you're tuning in from. If this is your first time, definitely comment. Let me know it's your first time so I can give you a shout out. Thank you guys for your well wishes. I'm feeling much better. Um, Recovering, but feeling much better. Okay, so let me introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. My name is 𝐂𝐀𝐋𝐋. I'm an immigration attorney. I represent clients all over the United States with their family immigration matter, humanitarian, naturalization, and all of that good stuff. We've got an office in Atlanta and Orlando, Florida as well, but we represent clients all over the US. So regardless of your location, we'll be happy to assist you. You can reach us 407-995-6567. You can also send a WhatsApp to 404-333-8751. Today is really just a frequently asked question day. So feel free to ask questions, but let me shout out my interview that I did at 7 a.m. this morning in Atlanta. My client became a US citizen today. It was super easy interview, super early, but super easy. And she's getting sworn in an hour. So I'm really excited for her. I'm so proud of her and what she's doing with her life, her and her child's life, coming from a traumatic situation and basically coming full circle and is now going to be a US citizen today. So very excited for her. You know who you are. Congrats again. Oh, okay. Somebody says pin your phone number. All right, guys, let me try and do that. I can't multitask. I'm working from home today because my daughter is sick. So I'm home with one child while the other one is in school. So just give me a second, guys. Let me just type this in here. Okay, hold on. Or you can WhatsApp. And then if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you should be able to see our numbers when you scrolling on the ticker. You can save it that way. And then if you're tuning into Instagram after live, then you can just check in our profile or our link tree and you should be able to see it. Okay, so I think now you can see it. Good morning, Cleopatra. Good morning, Kishana, Mr. Tusk. Kishana says, do you need a social security number to use your prima facie determination letter? No, you don't. Prima facie is very state specific. So each state has what their requirement is. It just depends on your state and what the requirement is. So, you want to look into your state to see it because I'm not sure what benefits that you're trying to use, what your state offers. So that would be the first place to check. Somebody says, I had an interview to adjust status a month ago and I haven't heard anything from USCIS. What would you suggest for me to do? At this time, really nothing. You technically have about 120 days for USCIS to make some sort of decision, send an RFE. If after that, then you can try and do an inquiry with USCIS. And if the inquiry doesn't work, then they're just different steps of things that can be done just to see, what the delay is. But hopefully, in the next 120 days, you should hopefully get your approval, assuming everything went well. Carrie Kai says, can I apply for citizenship while I have an extension letter for my 10-year? I've been married 5 years. This is a good question. So citizenship, citizenship is not determined by how long you've been married. It's determined by how long you've been a green card holder. So I am going to assume that when you say extension letter, that you're saying that you had a conditional green card and you filed for removal of condition and you have an extension. Without knowing much about your own personal case, which if you want me to evaluate it, you should schedule a consult to get a proper evaluation. But that being said, you have to be a green card holder for 3 years, married for 3 years, and that spouse a U.S. citizen for at least 3 years in order for you to be eligible for citizenship, based on marriage. So that's how it works. So without knowing your own particular situation, I can't really give you an exact answer, but hopefully you can use that to figure it out or schedule a consult. Colleen said, hello, my attorney. How are you? Blessings to you. Thank you. Godchild says, I received a 10-year green card with Val on Saturday. How soon can I travel out of the United States? What? Congratulations. You can travel as soon as today. That is so good. Congrats. I love to hear it. Make sure when you're traveling, make sure your passport is has the same name as your green card, and that you have all that with you, when you travel, just so you can, come back without any issues. But you're a green card holder, so you can definitely travel. PAD says, can a man file for VAWA? Absolutely, men can file for VAWA. I talk about this all the time. Men are eligible for VAWA. Children are eligible for VAWA. Parents are eligible for VAWA, depending on the relationship, on who the abuser is. So for a man, if you're married to a U.S. citizen male or U.S. citizen female or green card holder male or female, and that person has been extremely cruel to you and abusive, yes, you can file for VAWA. For children, if your parents, if you're under the age of 21, the parents have been abusive to you, green card holders or U.S. citizens, you can file VAWA. And then on the parents' side, if your children over the age of 21 and are U.S. citizens, here green card holders don't count, U.S. citizens. If they've been abusive to you, yeah, you can apply for VAWA as well. Okay. Keisha says, I need to switch attorneys because the firm I'm currently using does not have my best interest at heart. I wish I had known about your firm prior to giving them my case. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. That's actually really sad. Maybe talk to them, maybe talk to your attorney and let them know how you're feeling, and maybe that will help them step up, and if all else fails, depending on where you are in your case, we may be able to take your case, but without knowing what's going on, I can tell you for a fact. Okay. Ms. Sparkle says, I have a problem with my daughter. Okay. That's not enough for me to answer your question because I'm not even sure. She was taken away in the U.S., in New York by her dad. Okay, wait. So you're saying that your daughter was taken away by her dad, but you're not finishing your you're not finishing the question you're asking me. So you can schedule a consult and ask. Okay. All right. So Freezer says, after citizenship, I have to update my Social Security. No, so your Social Security is your Social Security for life. Like everybody's given one Social Security number. So if you got your citizenship already, your same Social Security that you had when you're a green card holder is still the same Social Security that you have. Your number is still the same thing. Now, if you're somebody who maybe you got your Social Security and it says, basically it's not valid unless you have like a employment authorization, you can basically have them take that out, like that language out, but it's going to still be the same Social Security number. Okay. Ronique Baker says, thank you for everything you guys are doing for me. I really appreciate it. Oh, you're so welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so let me see what else. Candy says, what point in time should I do a consultation with you? You just have to call, Candy. The number is right there, 407-995-6567, and schedule a consult with either myself or any of my associate attorneys. Like, we're all just as good, and everyone can evaluate your case accurately. Ultimately, I oversee this firm, and there's nobody's file that's going to go out without my stamp of approval. But if you're not able to get me for a consult, you're still in capable hands, because sometimes my own appointment might be booked out for a much longer time. So if you want the earlier, if you want to get it sooner, you might be able to book with one of the other associate attorneys at the firm. Okay. Go Mark Shot says, is that a good sign if you don't get asked for evidences through the process? Are you talking about, meaning if you don't get an RFE request? Is that what you're saying? If you don't get an RFE request, it doesn't mean anything, absolutely doesn't mean anything, because you could go to the interview and that's when your RFE will come. So basically, I never count my chickens before they hatch, no matter how slam dunk a case is. Give me the approval in my hands. When I have the green card, that's the good sign. The only time that, I might get excited about something is if maybe it's actually, no, just because you just never know with immigration. So until you have your green card or, your citizenship, anything can happen. Sometimes you can submit something and on its face, it's enough for them to get you in an interview. And then during the interview, then they'll say, okay, can we have this or can we have that? And then that's when they will ask you for stuff. But, just keep staying prepared and hopefully everything goes well. Cleopatra says, do you take transfer cases from another attorney? It depends. Not all the time. It depends on what's been done in the case, where they are in the case, if it's worth it for me to step in there, if it's worth it for me to just wait until something happens. It just really depends. So basically case by case. Okay. All right, let's see what other questions I have here. Good morning, Anthony Houghton. Desroy says, does filing stop you from traveling on the H-2B work program? So when you're saying filing, without understanding what you're talking about, I'm just going to assume you're referring to filing an adjustment of status, right? If you're filing an adjustment of status, it stops you from traveling out of the country on any other program or any other travel, whatever, until you get a travel permit for that adjustment of status. Because if you don't get a travel permit for that adjustment of status and then you leave the country, it's basically like you've abandoned your, application. So just wait till you get your travel permit. That would be my recommendation. Officially, True Christ says first time. Welcome. Yannick from McDonough, Georgia. Welcome. Miss Sparkles from Jamaica, first time. Big up to you. All right, let's see who else we have here. Okay, if you come to the US and spend 4 months and then exit, you come again for a second visit, do you have to wait 120 days before you can get married? Technically, you don't have to wait 120 days. Typically, even though now they're basically saying that they don't really care about the 90 days, I care, and I don't trust USCIS and what they say and what certain officers still believe. So I always just say, don't do anything immigration related until 90 days minimum, because you just don't want that presumption of misrepresentation. Just, if you can help it, just don't. Okay. All right, let's see what else we have here. Wasim says, I completed a second interview, but the result has taken a long time. So can we start the VAWA process? So VAWA doesn't work like that. You can't just file VAWA because you had a second interview and it's taken a long time. You actually have to qualify to submit a VAWA petition. So first things first is a consultation to evaluate that you're eligible, because there's no point of filing something that you're going to get denied. So you want to make sure that you're eligible regardless of what's going on with your initial interview. PAD says, what is the proof you need to show your marriage is real to file VAWA? It's too long to go over. That would be a different live. But basically, a quick summary, you want to show that you have a bona fide marriage, a good faith marriage, you were free to marry, you intend to live your lives as spouses and not just for the purpose of immigration. Um, but basically under that, there are just several categories of evidence, where you're showing things that concern finances, commingling, cohabitation, matters of the heart, and further breaking down. But that would be like a different live. If you scroll through, I think I've done a few recently actually on that. So maybe you'll find it in the live. If one doesn't have physical evidence of abuse except for emotional and no witness for affidavit, can VAWS still work? Yes, but you have to have a credible and compelling story that is credible, and I use that word credible. It has to be credible, and I suspect that you probably have more than you think. A lot of times people say, I don't think I have anything, or, there's no physical, or I didn't report. But once we start digging in, we find so much more stuff. So, again, yours would be beneficial if you consult and we're able to really screen you. Okay, Facebook. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, she says, if you're on a 2-year green card, can you travel outside the US? Yes, a 2-year green card holder is still very much a green card holder. You can travel outside of the US. Now, this is assuming that your 2-year green card is active. If your 2-year green card has expired, you want to make sure, or is about to expire, you want to make sure that, 1, you file for removal of condition, and 2, you get your extension letter where it extends your green card for another 24 months. And then once you have your 2-year extension, then you can take that along with the expired 2-year green card to travel outside the country. Okay. Nikki Blacks, good morning. Good morning, 𝐂𝐀𝐻𝐸. Tom Bob says, let me see. My green card was shipped to my previous address that I no longer reside with my wife. I called the post office in the area and they told me the document can either be sent to the address or back to, I guess your stuff didn't finish, back to USCIS. So what is your question? You're asking how to get it? Yeah, because if there's nobody at that address to pick it up, it will be sent back to USCIS and you have to basically reach, either fill another I-90 to say you didn't receive your green card. If you're lucky, you'll get it sooner. Sometimes that could take like a year. Hopefully that won't be the case for you. Another thing you can do is you can see if you actually got the approval letter, just not the green card, you can use that and try and see if you can get an InfoPass to get a green card temporarily stamped on your passport after you file the I-90, just so that you can have a temporary green card on your passport while they're reissuing that green card if it's lost. And he says, my VAWA was approved on January 2022. I-485 is still pending. Initial filing date was in May of 2018. I live in Houston. I think it's taken too long. What do I do? Have made inquiries, but no response. Well, who did you make inquiries to? Sometimes after your VAWA is approved, it can take a while for you to get scheduled for an interview. But you definitely want to confirm and make sure, without knowing a little bit more about your case, because if your initial filing was in 2018 and your VAWA was approved in 2022, that's 4 years, almost 4 years. It leads me to believe that there were some issues going on with your case. So this is not a straight and cut answer. We would need to probably schedule a consult to understand what your case was. Were your case in abeyance? Did you need to do a transfer? Did Vermont transfer it over? Like, basically, there are just so many parts that one would need to evaluate to see. Okay. Andrea says, did a Stoke interview for a marriage-based interview 5 months ago, and up until now, I haven't heard back anything. What do you think I should do? Well, if you had a Stokes interview, it already is not a good sign because it means that they don't believe your marriage is real. Usually they might be doing some more investigation. to see, if your marriage is in fact legitimate. If after next month, you still don't have any either RFE or NOID, that's a notice of intent to deny, or approval, then you need to contact USCIS. If that doesn't work, then you can try for congressional assistance. You can threaten to sue USCIS, or you can actually sue USCIS in that order. So those would be the options that you have. NA says in abeyance. Oh, okay. So this is answering the initial questions. Yeah, I knew there was something wrong. There's no way that you would file VAWA with AOS and your case would be 4 years. I knew that there was something that happened there. Yeah. So there's a possibility that your file might be lost in translation. So whoever you use, if you use an attorney, the attorney needs to coordinate with Vermont to make sure that that approved file has been sent and merged with your adjustment of status. That's what's going to need to be done. Okay. Kishana says, I got my prima facie and I went to apply for public assistance in New York and they're saying I need a work permit or a social security number. Well, if that's what they're saying, then you just need to wait for that. Because remember, prima facies is different for every single state. Every state has their own rule. I'm not a computer, so I don't know what every 50 states rule is. So our job as immigration attorneys, we get you this prima facie letters. And then you take it to your state and see what public benefits they can assist you with. So if you already have that, wait till you get your social security number, your work permit, and then you do that. So New York might have that, another state might not. Just like in some states like Florida, and with your prima facie, you can get your driver's license, whereas in Georgia you can't. So it's different for every state, and unfortunately, I can't tell you what every single state requires. What differences are there in an I-485 interview and a VAWA interview? An I-485 interview is basically when you're being interviewed for an I-485 interview based on marriage, you're being interviewed for two things, the I-130 and the I-485. The I-130 is basically you proving that you and your spouse have a real legitimate marriage, not to be confused with we have a marriage certificate, because sometimes when I say, do you have a legitimate marriage, and a client tells me, or consultation tells me, yeah, we have a marriage certificate. That doesn't mean your marriage is a legitimate marriage. Legitimate marriage means you both intended to be married, to build a life together and your family together, and not just doing it for immigration. So that is what happens in a marriage-based I-485 interview. So they first do that when they're convinced that your marriage is legit. They move on to the I-485, which is to ask you questions on the I-485 form to make sure that there's nothing in your form that makes you inadmissible, whether that be crime, how you entered into the country, anything that requires a waiver, and things like that. So with the VAWA interview, your I-360, imagine this, your I-360 acts the same way as the I-130. So what that means is, and for those of you who are tuning in for the first time or hearing about VAWA for the first time, your I-360 is basically a VAWA application. Once that's already approved, it means that they already believe that you had a bona fide legitimate marriage. It means that they believe that you were abused, okay? So now they're just going through your 485, making sure that there's nothing that does not make you, that makes you ineligible, basically, to become a green card holder. So essentially, they'll be going through that form and any new information. Did you get married before your VAWA case was approved? Did you change your addresses? What are your address changes? Let's update your address. Did you get divorced? Let's update your status. Did you ever claim to be a US citizen? And stuff like that. So that's the difference. So it's not going to be, I would say, as maybe intense as, say, a marriage-based case, in that they have already made a determination that you're eligible for VAWA, you've been approved for VAWA, so they're not supposed to be asking you about the abuse or bona fide nature. Sometimes they may throw a question in and here and there about the abusive person, like to get some clarification, but that's the difference. Okay, I'm going to run out of time very soon. Let me take a few more questions. 𝐂𝐀𝐋𝐋 says, will an immigrant be put in deportation if a U.S. spouse takes their 2-year green card and files for divorce? Zycon, call me for a consultation now. You asking this question leads me to believe that there is some form of abuse going on in your relationship, and whether that's in the mind and they're trying to mind mess you up, or threatening you on your status, or putting that psychological fear of deportation in you, you definitely should call for a consultation. The answer is no. Even if they take your 2-year green card and hold on to it, as long as you can prove that you have a bona fide marriage, and that the spouse is abusive, because that is abusive behavior. That is extremely cruel. You should be able to still get your remove the conditions in your green card without that person. So don't let that person threaten you with divorce, or taking your green card as a way to make you lose sleep, as a way to command you into obedience, as a way to control you, as a way to make you not speak up, when you see they're doing something wrong or bad. So call me. Let's talk about what's going on and why your spouse is telling you that. But no, that's not how it works. Don't let them threaten you. Twin X says, do you help people in the US? I'm in Florida. I don't know if this question is like a joke, but if you're serious, yes, we do. We're in America. So of course we help people in America. We've got an office in Florida as well, and another in Georgia. So we help people as long as you're looking to immigrate to the US, and you have something or someone that makes you eligible, we're happy to take your case, okay? How long do you have to file for VAWA? I got a 2-year 8 years ago, but I never got the conditions removed. Yeah, we can help you. We've been able to help people with a longer timeline, actually, as long as we can show good faith of why maybe they didn't do it. So call us, and we'll talk and see what's going on with you and your spouse, and just to make sure you're also not in deportation proceedings that you don't even know about. Ojade says, if one is divorced, there's no abuse, and the 2-year green card is expired, can the person get a permanent residency? Yes, you can still apply for permanent residency based on being divorced, and that's fine, even if you submit it late. The thing, as long as you show that you were not aware of the deadline or the timeline, and it was basically due to no fault of your own. So the thing with conditional green cards is that, yes, one of the ways to remove conditions in your green card is to show that you and your spouse are still together and everything is good. But also, there are times where USCIS understands that all marriages are not going to work. So you can present a divorce, but as long as you can show that you enter this marriage in all of your heart as a legitimate marriage for everything to work out, USCIS is still going to approve you for the 10-year green card, even if your marriage doesn't end up working. Okay. Okay, I'm going to take my last question. Quadribrick says, I can't speak your language. I use a translation dictionary. Oh, I'm sorry. You can't speak it. What language do you speak? Hopefully the translation dictionary is accurate. I mean, I wish I could speak so many languages, but I literally can only speak 2 languages, and that's my cap. But hopefully the translation is working for you. Sleeka says, oh, I just lost you. Oh, you disappeared. I'm so sorry. Where is she? She disappeared. You've disappeared. So I don't see a question anymore. Bodywork says, what if you got married and you didn't change your last name? Will it affect you? The answer is no. I mean, you don't have to change your last name. This is 2022. We're not in the 1920s. Like, you can choose to keep whatever last name you want. So it doesn't mean that your marriage is not legitimate. It doesn't mean that you don't have a bona fide marriage. It just means that you're choosing to keep your identity as is. Okay. Um, okay, let's see. All right, I'll take the very, very last question. I have a few seconds. Um, um, okay, I'm gonna try and take a question that from someone who hasn't asked me a question already, so that I can try and make it fair. Okay, so Ferrari Vice says, how long does it take to get the 10-year green card? We submitted removal of conditions in September, still no reply. September of 2022? Is that what you're talking about? If you're talking about September of 22, you just need to sit down and just relax because you've got some time. Now, some people are lucky and they'll get it in a couple of months, but the reason why they give you a 24-month extension is because conditional green cards take 18 to 24 months. So most people, it's going to take them that long. Having said that, we definitely have seen some of our conditional green card applicants get it in 6 months. I would say 6 months in my firm is the shortest that we've seen. 6 months or like 5.5 months. But most people will be between 18 to 24 months, meaning 80% of people. So that's going to be the window you're going to be in. But the good news for you is that you're still a green card holder. And with a 24-month extension, you can still travel, you can still work, you can still do exactly the same things that any other green card holder will do. So hopefully that was helpful. All right, guys, I enjoyed being back on live. I will catch you all next time. I'm not really sure about my Friday schedule yet. The problem with when you're sick and out of the office is there's just so much going on that I have to catch up to. So I don't know, but if I'm going to be live, it's going to be between 10 to 11. So just save my live, subscribe to my channel and follow me on Instagram and Facebook so that when I go live, you can be notified. All right, guys. All right, talk to you all later. Bye.